The story should have a lesson. You should be able to point something and go, this is the lesson of pricing too high, or this is the lesson of not talking to enough realtors. So something you haven't heard before, but I'm just going to add another little quirk of something called level shifting. But something I came up with, and all I did was add onto it and coin it, was sensory level shifting. The best opportunities to use level shifting, I think, is when you have somebody and they're giving you an objection and you want to open up their perspective and their mindset of whatever the objection is. And so I'm asking questions to open up their mindset and turn the objection from whatever the fear, doubt, insecurity is to maybe it's a potential opportunity, or to address a challenge, or to challenge a mindset, a belief, but whatever it is, like I'm trying to get them out of just the objection and the fixed mindset into something else that it could possibly be. So the sensory level shift is, so senses, I feel, hear, see. So the sensory part of it would go, well, what I hear you saying, Patrick, is that what you want is to get the most money possible.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
So I'm getting the feeling that you want to make sure you don't move forward until you're ready. Is that how you feel? And they go, yes.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you want to use a professional, you just want to be able to trust that professional. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes.
And so the sensory level shift is a way to incorporate the senses, to interpret that objection and to morph it into something else, because behind every objection is a fear, doubt, insecurity, a challenge, a delusion in the mind of the prospect. And it's my job to create a good enough conversation where they go from here to here in their perspective.
Yeah, I love that.
Sensory level shift.
I love that. Rethinking how much I need to review my perspective on stories and see them as a tool in my communication, and to be much more intentional with how I'm using my stories. And so I'd love to hear from you what you're thinking about these days on using stories to be able to increase influence, persuasion, and or just move people forward successfully.
Yeah, because stories don't have to be this elaborate thing, right? Stories can be even like a 5 or 10 second story, right? Like they can be tiny little itty bitty stories. So I want people to realize that telling stories doesn't have to be this elaborate thing, but stories, they should tell a lesson. They should have a lesson. It shouldn't just be a story. The story should have a lesson, and you should be able to point something and go, this is the lesson of pricing too high, or this is the lesson of not talking to enough realtors, or this is, and obviously you're not going to point the finger at it and go, this is the lesson, but the story should be able to indirectly tell a lesson, because people don't want to be told what to do, right? They don't want to be sold, but they want to buy. So if they want to buy, then telling a story is an indirect way to casually engage in a conversation of an example in a model that everybody loves. TV shows, movies, like we want stories. We love stories.
Totally.
And so how can I make the story relevant to them? And then how can I tell a lesson so that whatever it is that the lesson is more readily received?
Yes, totally.
That's the point of stories. Now, figuring out, because I could tell a story very quickly when I'm prospecting, I could tell a story very quickly when I'm presenting. And so I think that's the thing, is to understand that stories don't have to be complicated.
Yeah. And one of my favorite, you can see the Mr. Russell Brunson over here from ClickFunnels, Expert Secrets, .com Secrets, Traffic Secrets. He is the master of storytelling in his presentations. And I love what you said too. It's like he has stories where you can tell the story in kind of elevator pitch style, really quick, like less than a minute story. And he's got the 5-minute story, and then he's got the 90, these long, elaborate stories. And then he's got stories stacked. What I started to think about too, and I think on this point so relevant, is as the agent community, what are your best stories for your best price reduction story, your best expired listing story, your best buyer didn't want to commit to the buyer consultation story? And you can have, there's always a positive side. There's like a lesson of the right action to take, but there's also a lesson on the wrong action to take. And I think agents need to remember back in the day what we used to do when we were writing the NLP sentences. Like the best thing to do when you're writing your NLP sentences to identify, is this an expired NLP sentence? This is a FSBO NLP. This is a price reduction NLP. This is a listing presentation. Here's an objection. And we create categories, and then we would create sentences and skills to the category. I feel like with storytelling, we need to build our stories to these unique scenarios that we're going to repetitively use.
Yeah.
I remember one of my favorite stories was the story I used to tell to FSBOs about the 2 types of transactions where I was representing the buyer and I got a huge negotiated deal from the seller because the listing agent didn't understand the technical side of negotiation. But I also lost $10,000 to a seller because someone also did it to me. And so I would tell the FSBO this story, and they would in turn realize that they were vulnerable because they didn't understand what this technical nuance was in negotiation. And so the lesson was that they were vulnerable, but my story demonstrated the experience that lots of money was on the line and that I was someone who knows how to manage this. And it's for a specific, unique scenario, by the way, a particular type of property that would be also very susceptible to that one thing. So when I used that story with a FSBO, I would get huge levels of engagement.
Yeah.
We all do a better job of just identifying when that story is appropriate to the scenario.
Yeah.
Right? Practicing.
Yeah. So I think that makes me think of, I like this part especially because I know that I have had awareness with the last couple of years on storytelling, and I don't consider myself really good at it, but I do know that there's a good opportunity to continue to utilize it at a higher level and to think about examples or situations that I can use in telling stories, because it is such a powerful tool to be able to use with people. And if you're a newer agent and you don't have the stories, then you can borrow the stories. Then here's how I do it, because I'm going to do this now with some of the people in my mastermind, is stories that they may have around pricing or not interviewing agents or whatever it is. I'm going to kick that around my mastermind a little bit, because if you're a newer agent, you could ask other agents on situations that they learned from in regards to pricing through their clients, and then just borrow those stories.
Yes. Hey, I was just in a meeting with some of the most successful agents in town, and one of them was telling us about a client scenario. Hey, I was just talking to my broker, who's one of the most seasoned veteran real estate professionals in town. And he was telling me about this scenario. Use the authority, elevate the authority, and then use their story to craft what you want to say. I used to do that a lot when I started here in San Diego. I didn't have my own story. So I would use the story of Kai and Carly, and I'd elevate them and then tell the story of their experience. And that gave me the credibility, and the lesson was learned. Really valuable skill. If you're still trying to run your business while also running your marketing, something's going to break. And chances are it's you. I'm Patrick Ferry. After 20 plus years coaching agents, I hit the same wall. Too much to do, not enough hours. That wall was costing me 5 figures a month in lost deals. That's when I brought in Sphere Rocket. In 90 days, 317% YouTube growth, 42% more email engagement, and double the lead flow, because I finally had the right team behind me. Sphere Rocket gives you more than a VA. They give you a recruiting and HR partner. You build the team your way with experts to guide you. You stay in control, and they've got your back the entire time. Best part, you can try it risk-free. You get 45 days to test everything before you commit. Just mention my name when you sign up. And when you use my link, I'll give you access to my digital marketing VA mastermind, $997 worth of systems, strategies, and support for free. Solo won't scale? The agents winning right now are building real teams fast. Click the link, book your call, and let's turn your workload into a growth engine.